Good morning, everyone. It's Dharmabandhu here again. So it's day 31 of the response to the COVID-19 crisis, and so this week we've been looking at the topic of friendship, and so I've had two sessions on that. So 2 days ago, I went into a little bit about the story of the Buddha's life and his friendship with Ananda, his attendant. And then yesterday I went into something called spiritual friendship, which is friendship which is informed by a kind of higher dimension. And I shared some of my friendships and let you hear me and Jinanda talking for 10 minutes. And that was really nice actually to look back on and like I see, look back on and just share, and I think it just, when you rejoice in something, it brings it more into focus, and it kind of, you kind of appreciate it more actually when you express it something. So and today I went through the usual process of last night of having absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about this morning. But just trusting in the process that if I get up with 2 hours to go, that something will happen, and and I think sometimes that preparation is so important, really. So over the years, I've made these notes on various things, quite neat notes, and so when I did the spiritual friendship retreat in training for ordination, I made these very detailed notes, and so now I'm using them, and it's helpful to have those. So I just thought that actually the whole topic of making friends, it's not kind of obvious really how we do that, and. So on that training retreat, it was kind of spelt out that it's a kind of active thing, that you consciously go about kind of making friends and dealing with difficulties and being committed and those sorts of things. So we're going to look at that in the last part of the session. And thanks for your donations. So I had about a week's money come in just in a day and a bit, a couple of days. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much. What was I saying? I did say quite a while ago about the possibility of just doing some things on Zoom, and I think it's mainly that just concentrating on these morning sessions has been the main focus, and trying to get the videos uploaded onto YouTube. But somebody suggested that we have a Zoom call tomorrow night, Friday night, UK time. So I'll announce that and put a link up that you can click on and access that that meeting. Maybe something like 7:30 UK time, so we can all meet up and have a chat, and do some making friends, that sort of thing. Okay. So we'll do the normal bit of body work, and I'll try and work out what to do, what's best really. Dig into my experience. It's the best idea, isn't it? So personally, I feel a little bit tired and a bit sluggish in my body. So just let's begin by rotating our hips. And just having a sense of keeping your mind and your body together in the same place. So your mind is conscious of the shape that your body's making, and your body is conscious of it. Can be conscious of like what shape best supports your mind actually. So when we allow our skeleton to support us, that we can then feel free to engage with things. So it matters what happens in your body in terms of what supports your mind and your emotions. And often we just get the two just separate out a bit. We're so into worrying and planning and that sort of thing that we don't really keep mind and body together. But when we go down the gym or have a sauna and a freezing cold shower, wake our body up, then often we really then notice our body and we feel it supporting us. So I've said in these sessions so many times about the importance of just looking after our body. I probably need to get out on my bike a bit more. And then just do this sort of movement, just twisting. And then just drumming on your head. Just waking up your scalp. And then, whatever you do, however hard you're doing it, maybe sort of do it about twice as hard. So with all of these things, just be sensitive to any impairment or injury you have. Take responsibility for your own body. Rub your hands together. And backs of your hands. And then down your arms. And then cupping your elbow like that, and then over the top. And the other side. Okay, so we're going to do some Dharmabandhu's here now. So on Buddha Field Festival, sometimes he's done a thing called lion Tai Chi. So and it's like Tai Chi, but pretending that we're a lion, sort of thing. So, so just make this sort of hand gesture. And then I want you to just do a kind of a, not very loud, but it's just a bit of a roar, and move forward. With the other foot. Open everything up. king of the jungle, just like bit shaking. Okay, then just gently swinging from side to side, just having a sense that your spine is kept in a like a rod pointing upwards, and you're just keeping it pointing upwards. You're keeping it upright, and you're just twisting it around side to side, so that your arms just kind of gently flop against your side. And it's just the rotation of that rod at the middle of your body that's making your arms move. Okay, and then just put your hands on your stomach, and oh, so it's the tiger, tiger tai chi. Oh, it's a different method. All right, so put your hands on your stomach, and just bending your knees and breathing out, and straighten your knees when you breathe in. So going down. And then coming up with the breath, going down, coming up. Try to make your head go up and down about 6 inches if you can. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Just allow your mind to become lazy and everything to come from your body. The decision when you move comes from your body. So you're really tuning into what your body wants. What has the best effect on your body in terms of energy when you do this? So remembering, try and go up and down about 6 inches or something. Sometimes it's just the simple things that you just keep doing them for a long time. That's what has the effect. And then it's coming to a stop, and taking a seat, meditation. So we're going to do the mindfulness of breathing this morning, and I'll just, for those people who might be new, I don't know who's watching, I'll just introduce the 4 stages, just so that you know. So in the mindfulness of breathing, what we do is we watch the breath come and go in our body, and in the first stage we put a count in, like a little silent count in our head at the end of the out breath. So we breathe in, we breathe out, we count 1, and we breathe in, we breathe out, we count 2, breathe in, breathe out, count 3, and so on until we get to 10. And then on the next breath we watch the breath come in, we watch it go out, we count 1, breathe in, breathe out, count 2. So we're counting sets of 10 breaths. And then if we forget what number we're on, or we realise we're on 17, we just don't worry about it, and we just pick up the next breath and watch it come in, watch it go out, and count 1. So the counting just helps remind us what we're trying to do. It's like a kind of prop to the meditation, but the point is to not be mindful of counting. It's being mindful of the breath coming and going. And then the second stage we do the same sets of counting, but we count just before the breath begins, which makes it a little bit harder, because it's harder to anticipate something than mark something that's passed already. And then in the third stage we just watch the breath without any counting. And then the fourth stage we kind of notice the little delicate sensations that are there around the nose or the mouth, as the breath comes in and as it leaves. So just staying with those sensations as much as we can, and we need then to refine our awareness a bit more to be able to stay with those sensations. So we're trying to develop awareness. Okay, so just settling into your posture. So, sitting on cushions on the floor, like meditation cushions, or a chair. And tuning into the energy in your body, particularly any supportive energy that you've developed through doing the body work. And trying to have a sense of what you need to do to maintain that as you're sitting here. And just let your body just sit down. You don't need to hold it up through an act of will. It's quite happy just sitting there. Notice how you feel at the moment. Include that in the meditation. A sense of care for how you feel. Notice the general state of your mind. And then turning your attention to the breath. Beginning to pick up on the sensations of the breath as the breath comes and goes. beginning, the mindfulness of breathing meditation practice. slowness in the second stage is moving the counting to just before the breath begins. So in the third stage, we let go of the counting, just watch the breath come and go as continuously as we can. So in the fourth stage, watching the delicate sensations that are there where the breath enters the nose or mouth. So refining our awareness so that we can stay aware of those delicate sensations from moment to moment. So just still have a sense of your body supporting you. You're not holding it up, it's holding you up. It knows how to sit down. So all you need to do is balance your spine and to take your weight down as the chair or cushions. And then your mind is free to engage with the detail sensations in the breath. So in your own time, just bringing that meditation to a close. Oh, yeah. So I don't know if is the picture squashed that way. It looks like it's given me my head's a bit thinner than normal. Anyway, yeah. All right. So moving on to today's topic, which is under the theme of friendship, is making friends. And yeah, so when people get into training for ordination within what used to be the Western Buddhist order, is now the Triratna Buddhist order. It's the Western Buddhist movement I'm a part of. People attend various retreats, and so you have things like going for refuge, which is about kind of commitment to what's most important in Buddhism and putting that at the centre of your life, that sort of thing. So one of the other retreats is called Spiritual Friendship, and it's all about the whole that whole topic of friendship and kind of verticality in friendship. And I explored some of that last couple of days, but I thought I was just looking at the notes, at my excessively neat notes on the spiritual friendship, which I've not quite finished off actually. So the notes come from a series of talks by a senior order member called Subhuti, so I pulled out some of the relevant stuff for today. So basically, what he says in there is that we have to kind of, making friends is a conscious thing. So so he quotes Aristotle as saying that loving is more of the essence of friendship than being loved. So although it's being loved that makes it friendship, so it's a bit like it's not a passive thing; it's an active thing. And Aristotle says to love gives greater pleasure than being loved, and that pleasure is very seldom passive. Even aesthetic pleasure has an active aspect. You have to actively appreciate something. So in the earlier sessions, I introduced the idea of flow. So by a psychologist called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. There you go. So what he kind of pulls on the ideas of Aristotle, really, that things happen when we're happiness is connected with being active. So we've got this diagram here, and along one axis we've got skills, and on the other axis we've got challenges. So the theory is that when our skills are high and when our challenges are high, then we experience what's called flow. So this is like the kind of happy state where we're happily engaged in something, really absorbed in it. So it might be that that is work, or it might be that it's friendship. It's being with our friends and engaging with our friends, or it might be that it's some like artistic activity or creative activity. So yeah, so it's really interesting that it's not a passive thing. It's like we have the skills to do something, but also there's a challenge involved as well. So I'd say that I experienced this doing these sessions, particularly in the mornings when I'm thinking, oh, I've got to I've got to have a shave, I've got to put my shirt on, I've got to do all the practical stuff, I've got to make sure that the video is working, and today it's slightly squishing me up. I've got to get the material ready, it's got to be not too much for people. All the sorts of things, all kind of challenges, that I've got to meet, by the deadline, which is like 7:30 to start the session. And I've got to get myself into a decent state of mind. And then, well, I think what can happen is that when I start the session, it's like the skills that I've developed start to come online. I start to think, oh right, yeah, no, I do have the skills to communicate some of this stuff, and um, so I start to feel happy that I'm being used, well used, um, in a real situation, which is somebody said something like professionalism being when your energy's there at the time when it's needed. So I often experience that I feel a bit anxious before the start of a session, and then once it's 7:30, I think I've just got to get on with it and just do it. So what Mihaly talks about is like when we feel in control, it's like we have the skills, but maybe the challenges are so to get into flow from a position of control, we just have to up our challenges, so we're in control. Maybe sort of introduce something a bit more risky into things. Or at the top there it says arousal. So when our challenges slightly exceed our skills, then we feel a bit like, whoa, this is a bit challenging, So we just have to kind of try and increase our skills so we get into flow. And when we're kind of we've got the skills along the bottom that says boredom. We've got the skills, but they're not really. We don't really have the challenge. That we're not really being challenged by the situation. We're just bored, And when we've got no skills and no challenges, we're just apathetic. Or when we've got too many challenges and not enough skills, we get anxious. So I think that's a fantastic model, really, for human life. And it comes from positive psychology, which is very much about how we bring about happiness. So coming back to friendship. Pleasure in friendship comes about through doing it, and Subhuti says that some people seem to think that friendship is about waiting to be picked up. It's like a consumer mentality. We're just waiting for somebody to come and be friends with us. But it doesn't really work like that. And I mean, when I was doing these retreats. I felt like this was my weakest area, really. I was good at the intellectual stuff and all that, but in terms of the social side of things, making friends and stuff. So when I read this again today and yesterday, I felt inspired because I thought, oh wow, yeah, there is stuff that I'm not doing that I need to start doing. I need to start making the effort with me friendships, like going about trying to cultivate and maintain them. So Subhuti talks about, persisting, and that friendship demands patience, and that people are often difficult and problematical, and they sometimes give off a vibe that they're a bit shy or leave me alone or whatever it is, and they're a bit of a foreign land. Other people are, a foreign land, something like that. But to not get put off by that, and to try and kind of push through those difficulties, push right through, and try and move into like a conscious friendship with with another person, yeah. And he says that it takes time. It takes time, and that friends at first sight, it usually doesn't go anywhere. It comes about through a mutual knowing and time spent together, and it's often helpful to have a kind of make it conscious, like have a conscious kind of contract. Like, yeah, I want to be your friend, and the other person says, yeah, I want to be your friend, and then you make it conscious and go about trying to develop that and maintain that by spending time together, meeting up regularly, and addressing any problems that come up along the way. And in the there's a lecture by Sangharakshita called "The Problem of Personal Relationships," and in that he talks about the different. In the past, you used to have this kind of network of different. Everyone would have a network of different types of relationships. So you'd have your friends, and then you'd have your partner. Your person you're married to or you're in relationship with, and then which the romantic side of things, and then you'd have your relationship with your boss, and you'd have there'd be I think about 6 different with your parents, with your siblings, there'd be about 6 different types of relationship, and all this kind of different relationships just kept everything in a healthy balance, so there was all sorts of there were different needs met by those different relationships. But he says in that lecture that a lot of things have just kind of come down to much more just the person, the romantic, the partner, the romantic relationship, and the other ones have got atrophied, So in the on the retreat. Subhuti he brings in a kind of teaching from Islam. So there's a guy called Al-Ghazali who wrote a book called The Duties of Brotherhood in Islam, and so that's all about really making it conscious, the friendship. A little bit like what I've just been talking about. And Al-Ghazali talks about 3 levels of friendship. So the first one is, it's slightly a little bit based in self-interest. So, you give to your friend out of feeling of, you've got a surplus to give, so you give to them. The second level is that you identify with your brother and put him on the same footing as yourself, and consider all that you own as being as much his as yours. And I remember, in the past in Triratna, people used to much more consciously try to live in communities with each other, and I remember on the retreat somebody saying, well, if your friend just comes into your room and takes something and uses it, what a compliment that is. It's like it's saying that this person really trust that there's a friendship there, and that you will be completely okay about that, and I found that really inspiring, that of course that you would think that. So it's like they trust that you value them so much that you would be completely alright about that. And then the final level is placing your friend first. And it says that the taste in your brother's mouth is better than the taste in your own. So this is very exalted. It's a bit like exchanging self for other, which is what the Buddhist saint Shantideva talks about in the Bodhicharyavatara, which is the text on altruism that's very important in Mahayana Buddhism, and in our Buddhism as well. So it's there's in that book Tales of Freedom, there's all sorts of tales like that where kind of accomplished Buddhist teachers are just go, just exchange themselves for other people. And there's a story of some criminal was being made to sit on this copper, it's like a copper horse or something, and the punishment is that they, they're sort of tied down to this copper horse, and then a fire's lit underneath, so they just basically kind of just get burned to death, by the heat from the copper. And this this accomplished Buddhist monk sees this about to happen, and he goes, "Oh no, it wasn't him, it was me." so he just exchanges himself for the other person, even though the other person's a criminal. And so, I mean, how exalted is that in terms of like seeing all life as equally valuable, and it isn't about who you are and what you've done, but it's about just your experience, your identification with another's experience. So some of the benefits of friendship are things like the psychological benefits. So the first one is that it kind of assuages loneliness. So when we're isolated, we begin to lose a sense of who we are, and particularly if we live in a city on our own. So I'm experiencing this a bit at the moment. I went outside and sat on. It was very sunny again yesterday, and I went outside and sat on my chair, and one of my neighbours was sat out, and she had a rosary bead. She was doing some sort of prayer thing, but both of us looked a bit. And then another neighbour went out on his bike, and we all looked a bit flat, really. So there's something about we're kind of slightly losing a sense of who we are in this isolation. So we get stimulation from others, which can revitalise our own energy when we're dull, and we get encouragement. So that's one benefit. It's like it helps get rid of loneliness, friendship. Another benefit is that it's a source of admonishment. So when we're when we've done something that's harmed another person, then if our friend's a good friend, they will kind of pick us up on it, and I think because the friendship's to the degree that the friendship's there, we will feel kind of loved by that person, and so when they say something that that's difficult, then that difficulty is ameliorated by the fact that there's this relationship there, between us that we feel confidence in. So yes, it's really important, I think, when we're giving feedback to people that we're aware of the relationship side of things. That how strong is our relationship with this person? It will so yeah, it's another good reason to to develop loving kindness towards as many people as possible, and to really feel in their world, so that when we're saying something to them, then they will feel that it's coming from that what we're saying is coming from the right place. Friendship gives us an opportunity to self-disclose. So Subhuti says, our inner world is often rich and confused, like a boiling sea that's incredibly painful and confused and bewildering. So sometimes life is like that, isn't it? It's like we just kind of just really, we feel like we have to sort everything out ourselves, and then present to the world, like, yeah, I'm all right, I'm sorted out, and that need for presentation of a self is often just gets in the way of honesty and relaxation as well. So we're often we tense around ourself and trying to maintain a self that we're presenting to the world. So self-disclosure, appropriate self-disclosure, where we sort of say, "Oh, this is happening to me," or it's something we can kind of get used to, really. And in Tree Ratner, people do a practice called reporting in. So on a regular basis, in various groupings that they're in. So yeah, we just get a chance to put what's on the insides outside. So see, people get to sort of see us more completely, and then there isn't, as I said, there's not this barrier that we need to maintain, a tension at between others and others, ourselves and others. And disclosure brings us back into the human race, and it's a relief, with a sympathetic and objective observer. So yes, I think there's stuff to reflect on here around making friends. Certainly for me there is, and doing this talk has just reminded me that about cultivation, that I need to make the effort to cultivate the friendship, and maintain the friendship and reinvigorate the friendship. And I'm pleased that I've hooked up again a little bit more with my friend Stira Prabhu, who used to be my best mate in London in the early 90s, and he lives in Brighton now. And so we're slightly working a bit side by side. So he's helping me edit my book proposal, and so that's another thing. Actually, often it's really helpful as a way of developing friendship to be doing a project together, working together on something, so that your ideals are kind of heading in the same direction. So he's got a really sharp mind, and he's a really sort of good English teacher, and I really I'm really benefiting just from the contact with him through what he sent me back of what he's edited, and then I felt inspired to then work on my own material a bit more, and then send it back to him. So I've almost finished that. But yeah, it's just a joy to just have like 30 years of connection that just comes back, when you give it attention, and it was me that made the effort. I just did a random video call to him. I thought, I'll just give him a call, and he went, what's this? But no, we've kind of rekindled a bit of something again. So I've absolutely no idea what tomorrow's topic's going to be, but hey ho, that's all right. The world is a mystery. What's going to happen is a mystery, and I'm sure there's other things. Well, actually, no, I did think of something. I did think of a topic, which is friendship and society. So, in the talks, Sabu talks about you know, the effects that society, our materialist society, can have on friendship, on our ability. Basically, we have to give friendship time, you know. So when we're so busy and we're so into our careers and plans and all that sort of thing, we need to work against that in some way sometimes. So so that I'll try and make something out of that topic tomorrow. Okay. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye bye.